What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Run Becca Run, and welcome back to my YouTube. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, so I appreciate that. Today, we're going to be talking about fueling. So, one of the things that people always ask me is, how do you fuel for your ultras? What do you do when you're at mile 25, when you're at mile 30, when you're at mile 38, when you're at mile 40? Like, what do you do to fuel? And I know that there's a misconception that most of the time, us ultra marathoners, all we do is eat, 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 eat. And yeah, we do eat, but there is a certain way that we fuel, and it is beneficial to us because we're going to need some extended energy. So let's first discuss carb loading. Now, carb loading is basically what we need as far as energy. So let me just go back and give you a little bit of history. Glycogen is what we need to fuel ourselves. Carbs turns into energy. So y'all remember back in the day when we used to give our kids too much sugar and they would just start running all over the place? Well, there's actually a science to that. So yes, the sugar is what's going to give you energy, but it's going to be a certain type of sugar that we need and a certain type of energy that we need for us athletes, for us marathoners, triathletes, bicyclists, any type of endurance sport that you're doing. You're going to need to fuel. You're going to need to pump your body up with all the good things for energy. Okay, so usually what I do, and if you know me, you know I love a sweet potato. A sweet potato hate to see me coming. Okay, so what I do days before is I eat a lot of sweet potatoes. I usually mash them up. I'll do sweet potato fries. That is my preferred fueling. I do pasta. I also do some bread. I may do some rice. But for me, what I love to do is sweet potatoes. I'll do some butter. I'll do some cinnamon sugar. That's usually how I end up carb loading for my ultras. And I've been doing this for like over a year. And what I learned is that those type of carbs, for me, turns into glycogen, which ends up fueling. So my body stores it. Then on the day of the race, I use all of that energy up. There's also several other ways that people fuel, right? People fuel with nerds candy. People fuel with energy drinks. People fuel with straight sugar candy. Some people use they can use sour patch kids, or they can use all types of other candies. Some people use gum. Some people use all types of stuff. But let me just tell you guys how I do it. Okay. So first thing I do the morning of my ultra, after I've done carb loading for, let's just say, 2 or 3 days. Usually when I'm doing anything a 50K or above, 32 miles or more, I'll end up fueling about 2 or 3 days before. Now, there's also high carb drinks that you can take as well. So you don't have to feel like you're just stuffing yourself with food, because at some point it is going to feel like you're just gorging and the food is just sitting in your stomach. So it's really not going to do anything for you. What I do the morning of my ultra is I usually have a Morton bar. Now, this is not a sponsorship, although Morton, if you would like to sponsor me, I would greatly appreciate that because I love you big time. I usually start with this. I start with a Morton solid bar. Now, this is the chocolate one, but they have a regular one that's just plain. And this is going to give you, let's just see, it's an oat-based energy bar, and it's giving you fructose, glucose, gluten-free oat. So for those of you that are gluten-free, you can take this. And it's basically just like an energy bar, right? This is going to give you the fueling that you need at the beginning. And they normally say to take this about an hour or two before your race, right? I also do a drink. Now, this is a mix that I take as well. This particular mix is the caffeinated one. Now, there's a black one that doesn't have any caffeine in it. So if you're not into caffeine, then you can take that one. And I usually put that into a water bottle, shake it up, chug it, right? So that's usually how I start the morning of my ultra. I may take some applesauce as well. I may do a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I may do a banana, but sometimes bananas are binding, and then you don't want to be having to go to the bathroom in the middle of your ultras. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, right? So that's usually what I do. Then, as I'm going through the race, I'm going to need to fuel myself up because that will usually last me a good couple of miles, especially if I've carb loaded properly before then. That will last me at least to a good, like maybe half marathon, 16 miles. But while I'm doing that, I'm also drinking. Now, when you're sweating a lot, you're losing a lot of electrolytes. The reason why you've ever tasted sweat and it's salty is because that's sodium. That's the electrolytes that your body is losing as you sweat. So you need to replenish that. So what I do is I use Element. Element, call me, okay? Call me. Let's talk. I use Element. Now this is the citrus salt flavor. The flavor doesn't matter to me except the unflavored one. I need a little bit of flavor. So I'll use the Element and I'll chug that whenever I need when I'm feeling thirsty or a little bit dehydrated. However, what I do to just keep myself hydrated if I don't need any electrolytes is Noon. Now I am a Noon ambassador. So this is a plug. I'm going to put that link to the Noon stuff in my bio. So make sure you click on that and show Noon some love, okay? This is the watermelon flavor, okay? My favorite flavor. And then that's what I do. So while I'm running, I usually don't eat a lot during the ultra. I don't do a lot of eating. I know you've seen some ultras like the Taco Bell ultra where you have to stop at a Taco Bell, eat a burrito, and have a drink every so and so miles. I know some people do burgers, they do burritos, they do fries, they do pizza, they do all kinds of stuff. Learn your body and learn what you need to do to fuel. Okay, because one thing that people always think of when they are looking at ultra marathoners is our leg ability, the fact that we are able to just run. So they think about exercise and think about all that, but they don't always think about what we eat. Okay, and what the way that we fuel is very different. I know this is a hot take, but 1,200 calorie diet is not going to work for you if you're an athlete. You can eat 1,200 calories in one sitting. So you need to eat more to fuel your body. For those of us that are athletes, that go to the gym, that work out, that run, that even if you walk a lot, you're still burning energy. You can't eat the national diet that is out there. A regular nutritionist is just going to give you weight loss type of diets, weight loss type of eating. It's very different for athletes. We just can't eat salad and think that we're gonna be good. A weight loss regimen is way different than an athlete. You've ever seen football players and how much they eat? Imagine if they were to follow the national 1,200 calorie diet that the world says people should be eating. There's no way. You can see them eat 6 eggs. You can see them take a big old piece of tomahawk steak and just eat it because food is fueling. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about how to fuel for your races. It could be a 5K, it could be a 10K, it could be a 50K. Just think of food as fueling. Not only for, even if you're not an athlete, even for your regular life. Food, a lot of the times we treat food as comfort food. Like, I love this when I'm in a mood for this and I'm in a mood for that. But what we're learning now with our food is that it's becoming very unhealthy. So we have to be very, very mindful that we don't get any diseases or health risks just eating and not paying attention to our food. Remember, food is fuel. Okay, food is fuel. So after I am done with the bar in the morning and I have my drink in the morning as well, there are some people that take gels. Now, once again, I am a Morton girl. I'm a Morton girl. Morton, call me. Let's talk. I love you. Okay. So that's usually what I do. Now, some people take goo gels, they take edge gels, they take you can. There's a bunch of other type of gels that people can take. And I have tried a few of them. My absolute fave is the Morton gel. This gel also has some of the same thing that the bar has. So the bar will extend me for a couple miles. And then as I am continuing to run, I'm going to need those energies because I'm burning it off. I use a gel. Now, the first ingredient of these gels is water. This is where it gets very, very important to start to read the labels. It has the same stuff as the bar, same stuff as the drink, the glucose, the fructose, the calcium, but the first ingredient is water. The reason why this is important to me is because while you're taking these gels, especially when you're doing a marathon, 26.2, a 50K, 32 miles, or 100K, where you're at 60 something miles, you're going to need to hydrate as much as you fuel, especially if you're doing those ultras that sometimes last 24 hours. At some point, you're going to have to use the bathroom, you're going to have to release some of that stuff and to fuel yourself again. So, you don't want to end up taking a bunch of just straight sugar and not hydrating yourself. So, you want to make sure that you are drinking some Moon while you're running, or you're having some type of carbonated drink while you're running. Now, again, I'm not a dietitian, I am not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor, but these are the things that I have learned in my journey of running ultras. I've done 6 of them so far in the past 2 years. These are the things that I've learned in doing my ultras is to make sure that I carb load, make sure that I fuel properly while I'm running, and then make sure that I continue to focus on my electrolytes. Now, there's several ways to get your electrolytes. Of course, you can get them through your element drink or any type of um, electrolyte drink that you like. But there is also something else that I take as well, and this is salt stick. Now, salt stick is electrolytes as well. Now, they have the chewables one. I like the capsules. And let me just show you how this works. So, you take a capsule. It's not that big, and I take about 2 of these every few hours. Now, with these, it says you take this with a drink, and that's it. So, this is another way to get your electrolytes without having to drink. Because what most people are worried about on these long runs is the bathroom, especially if you're doing a trail ultra. There's not going to be a lot of bathrooms with plumbing or even porta potties available. So you have to learn and train your body to sustain itself for hours at a time. Now, what I always suggest for people to do when they're trying out new products as far as fueling and gels is to try it at the gym on a treadmill. Because what happens is you get to train your stomach and train your body. And let's just say in an event you take a gel and it does not work well with your stomach, you're close to a bathroom. Okay? Because let me tell you something, there is nothing worse than on your long run, you have to go to the bathroom and there's no bathroom around. And don't trust the fart. Don't trust the fart. It may or may not be just air, if you get my drift, right? So you don't want to try these, for me, this is my suggestion. You don't want to try these new gels while you're out and you don't have any way to get to a bathroom in case it has to come up or out, if you get my drift. So I always suggest for people to use to try out their new fueling at the gym, because that way, if it doesn't work out for you, you are near the bathroom and now you know, take that off the list. That I can't do. That way, you can start to check off what it is that you like. Okay, this, I don't like the taste of this one. I don't like the texture of this one, because there are some gels that are a little bit thicker to liquidy. So the consistency of the gels matter as well. I know for me, I like the Morton drink because the Morton gel, because it has the consistency of Jello. So it's not too liquidy and not too thick. And I can take that while in motion. I remember when I first started using gels during my run, and I tried a gel that was way too thick, and I almost like choked. And because it was so thick, I had to take a lot of liquid behind it. And at that point, I had to go to the bathroom. Now, luckily, I was somewhere where that I could, but you definitely don't want to be in a situation where that doesn't work for you. So you want to try out these gels in a capacity where you have a bathroom, you can switch if you want to. You're in a space where you don't have to worry about if anybody's around or if you're in the wilderness or anything like that. So again, these are just my suggestions for how you should fuel. These are how I fuel for my long runs. And then you got some people that can do all kinds of stuff during their ultras. And I know for Run Back a Run, I do not eat a lot of food while I'm doing my ultras. Now, now that I've said that, let me say this. Running fasted is not always a good thing, especially if you have not carb loaded. You wake up in the morning already depleted because you've been fasting while you've been sleeping. So your body's not getting any type of fueling, any type of energy while you're sleeping. So when you wake up and you just go ahead and use a lot of energy, you start here and then your battery is just getting lower and lower. I know that there are going to be some people that tell you running fasted is good and that's what they do. Once again, I will suggest for you to use your brain and find out what works for you. Because what's going to happen is, God forbid, you're out there and you're trying to see what you can do fasted and you pass out or something happens and you're like, you need electrolytes, you need some type of hydration, and you don't want to run into those problems. I know that it looks good on social media for somebody to say, oh, I did this fasted, oh, I ran a half fasted, I ran my full marathon fasted. And sometimes social media gets you into a trap where you want to see what you can do for the algorithm. Don't push your body to the limit for the algorithm. That's not healthy and that's not wise. Okay, that's just that's my mama coming out. That's not wise. Don't do that because you end up hurting yourself because your recovery and your ability to get back to normal after doing that to your body is going to be harder. And it's almost like you're starting from scratch. So although I may not eat a lot during my ultras, I don't do them fasted, meaning I'm not just waking up and just running, not for 40 miles. I can't do that. Maybe there's somebody that can. Kudos to you. Cool story, bro. I'm not going to be able to do that. I know for me, I need to carb load and make sure that I have given my body enough energy so that way it can sustain me for 8, 9, 10 hours of running. You have to understand that this is a lot on the body. And some people can feel like they can just get up and do it because all they think about is their legs and their ability. They may be strong, but your body and your ability isn't just about your legs when it comes to running. It is almost your whole entire body, including your mind. You have to make sure that you treat your body right so it can reward you. Okay, so this answers, hopefully, that answers all the questions in regards to what I do to fuel for my body for a 40-mile run. Like, I'll just wake up and just do 40 miles. It's whatever. So, once again, just to recap, I carb load about 2 or 3 days before. My choice of carb load is a sweet potato. You find your own. I do a Morton bar and a Morton drink in the morning of. I may do a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or a banana. Then I do the rest of my fueling with gels. I may do some applesauce as well. But what I'm doing at that point is just fueling my body with the glycogen, fueling my body with the carbs that's going to turn into glycogen to make sure that I have the energy. I don't really need to have the food because, then I get into a food coma and now 32, I'm like, good night. So you definitely don't want to do that. I know this is another hot take, but after you do these long runs, if you have properly fueled and you have done all that you can while you're running, you should not feel near death at the end of your long run. I know some people like to say, I left it all on the course. They like to cross the finish line almost with their battery at zero. And for those that do that, okay, my suggestion is to make sure that you fuel properly before, fuel properly during, so that way at the end you feel successful and you feel accomplished and not near death. If you feel like you are near death at the end of your long run, for me, that would be a hint that maybe you should check on the fueling that you're doing. Maybe fuel often. Some people like to fuel by time, every 30 minutes, every 40 minutes. Some people, depending on how their mind works, they like to fuel by miles. I'll fuel every 5 miles, or I'll fuel every 10 miles, because everybody replenishes their energy differently. Some people, they need to fuel every 20 minutes, especially if they're going really, really fast, or just based on how their body breaks down, their metabolism and everything like that. I know for me, I normally few every 30 to 35, 40 minutes. For my ultras, sometimes I can go a little bit longer because I'm not going as fast. So I'm not burning a lot of energy as quickly. So I can go a little bit longer. But of course, I make sure that I fueled properly before and I'm fueling properly during. Um, During, you want to take your fueling before you need it. Don't wait until you really, really need it, because then you are waiting for it to kick in. And let's just say it takes a mile or so to kick in. You don't want to push yourself that much where you're struggling and waiting for your fueling to kick in. I always tell people, if you feel like you need to fuel every 40 minutes, fuel every 30 minutes. If you feel like, oh no, I'm good every 4 miles, take it at the third mile, every 3.5 miles or whatever. Take it before you need it. So that way, when your old fueling is wearing off, your new fueling is kicking right in. You want to be able to sustain yourself. It is very important that you do that, because it's going to affect the way you recover. If your battery is at 10% at the end of your long run, then you only have 90 to get back to 100. But if you are at a negative at the end of your long run and you could barely blink, then that means that you have to beef up your recovery in order to get back to normal. And I'll be doing a video on that as well and show you guys how I recover from my long runs. Because I normally am able to get back to my running in about 2 days, 2 maybe 3 days after my ultras, and that is because of the way that I've learned how to fuel. So I hope that that has helped. And if you guys have any more questions, please, please, please feel free to drop down in the comments and ask me whatever it is. And maybe I'll do a video just for your question. Okay? So I've said all that to say I give you permission to lace up your sneakers and take up space. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. I'll see you next time. Bye.